After starting up our system and navigating to the home page, you're presented with an overview of the medical staff and patients present in the system. Using the header to navigate to the doctor page, you can see a list of all the registered doctors. To register a new doctor, you click on Create Doctor and must fill in the name, email address, and give them a note. A username will then be generated using the person's email. After registering, they can then be updated using the original fields as well as being assigned a department. The username will stay the same, however. Should a doctor retire from working at the hospital, they can be removed from the system by deleting them. On the nurse page, we have similar functionality. We can register, update, and delete. Then, on the patient's page, it is the same, with the added functionality of assigning a doctor to a patient. For additional functionality, we have added a way to create, fetch, and delete appointments. If I start up the system and move on to PowerShell and then run the hospital client file, we start by creating an appointment. And here we can see the operation and the parameters we're setting. And as a return statement, we see how this would appear in the system. Now let's fetch this appointment for the doctor scheduled for this appointment. And then let's fetch the appointment for the patient scheduled. We can also fetch appointments for a specific doctor on a specific date. In the return statement, we get the ID of the appointment. Now let's try to delete the appointment. And as you can see, it found the appointment, and the appointment should no longer exist in the database. Lastly, we generate the report. And I'm going to move over to PyCharm to open the report. I open it in PyCharm because of this formatting. And as you can see, it lists all the patients, all the doctors, and all the nurses. We tested our classes using the unit test framework and the mock library from unit test. Operations are tested with different inputs, the expected input, an unexpected input, as well as no input or other input that would raise an error. We tested that the operations that didn't require any input would run as expected, that is, returning the expected output. Some of the tests were made to test that the number of times some function was called was as expected. For the purpose of this video, I will go over some of the tests made for our data class as an example. Our first test is fairly basic. Here we test that the function getPatient operates in the way we expect when it receives the expected input. The getPatient function takes in a patient's username and returns the corresponding patient's info. In this test, we test that the function getPatient raises the exception we expect it to raise whenever the given username does not exist. Again, we test the getPatient function. This time we are testing that the function can handle an unexpected input. The function is expecting a string, so we test this with an empty string, an integer, and a non-value.